Hello YouTube, it's DasGregor, and we're looking at another Gentoo in review. Today I decided it's been a few days since, or maybe even a couple weeks since I last updated Gentoo, so I thought it might be a good idea to do an emerge-sync and update the Portage tree and see what we've got. Now I thought I could do all of this and then see if it would be exciting or not, and then decide to make the video, but then I thought, well, you guys might miss something. So I don't know if this will be a huge update or a small update, but let's just get started. I've already done the emerge-sync, but I went ahead and went up in my history here so we can take a quick look. I typed in emerge-sync. Now remember, I've set up some quick links and things like that go ahead and put the sudo in front of emerge for me, so I don't have to worry about it, because I'm constantly forgetting to do that. So that's why I'm doing that, and I'm doing it as my regular user DasGregor. It goes ahead and starts up, looks for the server, connects to it, checks everything out, verifies things, and then it starts to delete the old package is in Portage and renew new ones and update all the changes. And as we see here, as I'm scrolling through, there's a lot that it scrolls through. There's just all these packages. It takes, depending upon your system speed, it can take anywhere from 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, up to sometimes 5 or 6, 7 minutes or more. So we're just going to kind of speed it along here and go a little bit faster. I would have ended up having to pause this anyway and then starting it again afterwards, but this is just as good, because you guys don't want to sit there and just watch all that stuff scroll across the screen. Okay, here we are at the end. It'll give you a few things of information here. For instance, the amount of data that was transferred, how fast it got transferred, how many packages were updated, etc. Does a little update on all your items here, and in my case it says there's an update to Portage that's available. Highly recommended that you do that right then and there, and also that there are 2 news items that we may need to read. So we're going to go ahead and update Portage. Now they always say to use the one-shot, so I'm just going to do it the easier way with a -1, and I always like to do verbose anyway as well, so we're going to do that and do Portage. I don't need to use the A because I don't need it to ask me to do it. It's going to calculate dependencies, verify everything looks proper, and then it should just go ahead and download and start going. So I'll leave it going here just for a few moments recording while it does that. While it is doing that, I have been working on setting up Gentoo installation guides, and I've been torn between trying to do like the quick and dirty style install where I just kind of shut up and just do it and show you and try to get it done as fast as possible and record it all at the same time, versus going through the handbook and discussing every section, not in fullest of detail, but the most important highlights of it, and really do an in-depth review of how to install Gentoo. I'm not sure if people are interested, though, in listening and sitting for a lot of 20 to 30 minute sessions while I discuss the Gentoo Handbook. I mean, I was thinking after I'd set up the first couple settings that those things were a little too long. While I really think there's a lot of good information, I just hate to have you guys have to sit there and go through it and listen, and if that's not what you want, then I don't want to post it. It's a lot of extra work. I mean, I spent probably an hour and a half yesterday just working on some of those videos, testing them out, making sure I could remember certain things, refreshing my own memory of how things are done. And then at the end of it, something went wrong, and it's, well, I'm going to have to start all over anyway. And then I thought, man, do they really want all this? Or do you guys just want a quick and easy? Because if there's quick and easy, if that's all you want, there are other people who have done a Gentoo install and recorded it to show what they're doing. You know, it really doesn't explain it. It doesn't tell you why you're doing it. And if you want that, you might as well just look at the quick install guide in the download section of Gentoo and follow it. It's about 2.5, 3 pages long, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter. But with that, you can get a lot done very quickly. A lot of Gentoo is just reading the manual and understanding the manual. Alright, so we've gotten that all installed there. There's some news items. So I don't know if you guys watched my news articles, but it's or the section on the news articles. But it's always good to take a quick look, do a listing of those news articles, and see if there's anything. Oh no! No, no, no! I think if you all will remember, one of my last videos I talked about how I really like how Gentoo still uses the old grub system, because I kinda stand grub tool. It is the worst, crummiest, horriblest, worst thing I've ever had to deal with. I hate it. And that's one of the big things I will have to mask grub 2 migration, because I refuse to go to it. No, no, no. Oh, man. Well, let's go ahead and read that article anyway. So we do an eSelect News Read 10. See what it has to say real quick. Grub 2 uses a different configuration format and requires a manual migration before your system will actually use it. A guide is available on the gentoo.org website, and the Gentoo wiki has additional information. If you'd prefer not to migrate at this time, yoo-hoo! You do not need to take any action. Alright, Grub Legacy will remain functional in /boot to prevent any associated files, documentation from being removed. Add system boot /grub to your world file, for example. Super! Super! Let's do that right now, because we do not want that. So, no replace. sys-boot /grub :0. All right. Let it clean itself up. All right. Thank you, Gentoo. I appreciate it. Let's look at that other news article. So let's just going to bounce back up to the list. And it shows 11, Python exec package move. But we'll do a quick read on that as well. And that's a lot more stuff to be looking at, which I'm not going to read to you guys. It just mostly says stuff about recent issues removed prematurely from an urgent package move. Interesting, interesting. Well, we will worry about that a little bit later. Now that we've done that, I'm just going to back out of all the where I was in etc.wa supplicant. I was working on some wireless issues earlier, just changing the way my system connects to my local network. And now that we've done all that, to see if and what packages need to be updated, we do an emerge -a for ask, v for verbose, oh dear me, u for update, and I think that needs to be lowercase, d uppercase for deep, and new, I believe, has to be capital N. So AVUDN, I may have to check which one of those might. I know D is supposed to be definitely uppercase. One of those might also need to be uppercase besides N. And so then we do world, if I can spell world. And once again, while that calculates, I'll go over the AVUDN options are pretty much ask, make it verbose, update to the newest files, go deep when looking for dependencies, and use and process new uses or new use options. And this is pretty much going to calculate all the dependencies. It's going to look for anything that may need updated. And since I haven't updated this Gentoo in probably a while, there are probably going to be a lot of files that we need to look at. So I'm going to pause the video here for a short bit while it calculates dependencies, and we will take a look at those in just one moment. Okay, excuse me, my voice is still giving me a lot of trouble. I'm still trying to get over last week's cold. As you can see, there is a total of 277 packages that need to be fixed, 205 upgrades, 46 new ones, 8 that are in new slots, 18 reinstalls, probably due to dependencies, and 2 uninstalls. Interesting. They're going to uninstall Adobe Flash 11.2. Or actually, they're going to upgrade. I'm sorry, that's a U for upgrade. Adobe Flash. And anyway, 2 installs. Yeah, that's a lot of downloading it needs. And it looks like there's 3 blocks or 3 conflicts. And there are some use flags that need to be changed. Now, I think I have mentioned before, and we'll switch over to this terminal and do a quick look at my make.conf. And that is in etc Portage make.conf. Recently they have moved that from just etc into etc Portage. And you will see that I have the emerge default option -- auto unmask -right. I find that to be a very user-friendly way of having it built in that when use flags need updated, it just asks me right off the bat, which is why I always use the -a if I want to add those into my session. Go back over to here, and let's just take a quick look. It's saying the following use flags are necessary to proceed. It's saying that required by kdevelop 451 and required by selected and world, Qt declarative needs the WebKit to continue. That's interesting. Well, the nice thing about this is it's going to go ahead and just set up WebKit for this version of Qt declarative, and I'm okay with that. So we'll go ahead and say yes to the option, and it's going to do that. Now we're going to need to write these to our files, so we do an etc update. Now I do it the old-fashioned way, and there is another command that it does talk about when installing to use, but I grew up on etc update and I like it better. It's interesting, it wants to make a change to my make.conf. Let's take a quick look at what those changes are going to be. And showing the differences here, it looks like it's going to add this section right here to it, set port dir for backwards compatibility of various tools. Interesting. Well, I don't have a problem with that. Let's go ahead and see what we can do to make that just right. So I don't want it to mess up anything So since I'm not familiar with what it wants to do there, other than I know it wants to add it, I'm just going to go ahead and make a copy of that make file so I can take a look at it afterwards. Normally it never wants to touch my make file, and since I have a lot of customization in there, I don't want to mess that up. So we're gonna, and I'm probably gonna have to use a sudo there at the beginning. Portage, etc. Portage and make dot, we'll just call it original. Alright. Do an ls etc portage to make sure. And now we have make.original, make.conf catalyst, make.conf, okay. All that looks good. Okay, let's just do the one. Overwrite, yes. Okay, now since we've done that, let's just take a quick look to see what it did to my make. Just make sure it didn't screw anything up. Alright, so yeah, good. It just added it to the back end of that, which isn't going to hurt anything, which we'll change and kind of reroute it a little bit later. When in doubt, that's a good thing to do. Just go ahead and back up the original if you don't know what you want to do with it. That's kind of an odd thing. I'm not used to ever wanting to do it. I'm used to it just wanting to update, say, things like package.use. So if we look at package.use, you'll see that those changes that Portage needed to do are going to be added into it. So we say yes, go ahead. And we have 3 repos.conf. That's interesting. We'll take a look at it. Yeah, we'll let that go ahead and go through. Alright, double check, make sure everything looks good. Nothing to be done. We go ahead and do our emerge. Let it go through its dependencies again. I'm going to pause just so you don't have to look at it. And there we go, it's done. 277 packages now need updated. 205 upgrades, 46 new. As you can see, there are no problems down here because it says you just want to merge these packages. We can kind of go through and just take a quick look at some of this stuff. Interesting, this one's going to be a forced reinstall. Most of this stuff, of course, upgrades. A new one. It's going to install Pillow. Interesting. A lot of new ones. Another forced reinstall. It's always good just to kind of go through and just kind of glance at them. See if there's anything out of the ordinary. When you see something that's highlighted in bold like this here, Linux firmware, that means that it's actually in your world file. When you just see them in green, it means that they're being pulled in as a dependency. So something is requiring 3 new dependencies. You don't always know when it's setting this up why certain ones are being pulled in, but you know, nothing that looks out of the ordinary. Now if it was because of a new use, then you'd see like right here, XMP is in green. That means that it's doing a new use and it's reinstalling that because of the new use. I'm not sure what XMP is, but it must be a part of the profile because I didn't change any of my use flags. Here's another new use where it's adding network to FFmpeg and reinstalling it. And for the most part, everything else looks good. It doesn't look like they're going to be updating KDE, which can be a big one. So what we just pretty much go ahead and do is say, yes, let's do this. So it goes and starts to compile and download, and I'm not going to bore you with the rest of it because it's just going to work. Yeah, that's what he said, right? It's just going to work. No problems. Famous last words. Yeah, of course it's going to work. I have faith in Gentoo. it's never really giving me too much hassle. So anyway, while this compiles, I will say goodbye. If it's morning, evening, noon, or night, whatever you're having, enjoy it. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your views. Continue to watch. Please give me ideas if there are things within Gentoo for the reviews that you would like me to look at. I am, like I said, looking at the installations and ways that I can do those videos. Like I said, let me know if you prefer a verbose overview or just do my best just to go through and just get it done and show you as fast as possible. And if you just don't care about all the ins and outs, you just want to see how it works, I can try to do that as well. But until next time, do enjoy. We'll talk to you later. Bye.